All right, on to the exams. So exams are mainly based on the lectures. So follow the syllabus schedule and work accordingly. This is the first week you want to get through Reconstruction. The next lecture is the West, Place, and Process. Social Darwinism and the labor movement. Follow the schedule. It's all laid out in the syllabus of when you should be working on it. My suggestion is to see if you could work ahead, though. So if this week you can get through both of these lectures, so much the better. So much better. Don't rush through it for the sake of rushing through it, but if you do have the opportunity to get through both of them this week, so much the better, because that'll give you the opportunity to review your notes before the exams instead of struggling to catch up with all of the work. Okay, so how this works is how do you prepare for the exams? There's two things you want to keep in mind. First, I'll talk about the essays, then I'll talk about the identifications. Listen closely to this, pay attention to this, because it doesn't need to be confusing at all. It's pretty straightforward how to prepare for the exams. The exams are largely based on your responses to the essay prompts, right? So for each lecture, there's a lecture essay. It's basically what the lecture is intended to prepare you for, is an essay of anywhere from 6 to 10 paragraphs. How long is a paragraph? Yes, you're right. 5 to 6 sentences. Very good. Right? Not one sentence, not 2 or 3 sentences, not 5 to 7 pages long, about 5 to 6 sentences per paragraph. So you're going to have 6 to 10 paragraphs. Typically, that's generally, sometimes it'll be more, sometimes it could be a little less, but typically 6 to 10 paragraphs per essay that you're going to respond to. To respond to them, you don't have to do outside research. All of the work you want to do is within this class. And so how you're going to do that is you're going to go through what are called the learning objectives for each essay prompt. The learning objectives are the outline to the essay prompt. So for this essay on Reconstruction, for instance, you have learning objective 1. That's going to be at least one paragraph as indicated right there. Your response to this prompt right here, this learning objective. Discuss the 2 constitutional theories that evolved around the question of Reconstruction. So you're going to watch this video here, right? The YouTube video is located here if for some reason this doesn't work. And by the end of this video, you should have enough information to respond to this learning objective, right? That'll be the introduction to your essay. You don't have to worry about creating an introduction or anything like that. That's the introduction. The second paragraph, as it indicates right here, is learning objective 2, which is discuss presidential Reconstruction and how its weaknesses led to congressional Reconstruction. To respond to that, again, you just simply watch the video and take notes accordingly. The other thing, and then when you're done with that, learning objective 3. Now this one indicates that it should be at least 3 paragraphs, so this one's a little bit meatier than the previous 2. So and again, it works the same way though. By the end of this little mini lecture, this video here, you want to be able to describe congressional Reconstruction and how it was a reaction to presidential Reconstruction. Okay, and then learning objective 4, respond to that learning objective. And the learning objective 5 doesn't have a video associated with it. It has, it's asking you to read the following and respond to this learning objective here. Be as specific as you possibly can in your responses to, especially if you're reading something like this. Dates are important. If I'm talking about a court case, that's important to cite that. If I'm talking about a piece of legislation, it's important to cite that. If I bring up certain individuals' names, you want to indicate those as well. You can also bring in well, let me show you this real quick too. The notes, there are notes here that basically are the notes to each of these learning objectives here. You can use those notes. They don't have everything that are in the lectures, but they certainly will help. It'll be a good place to write your notes on, maybe highlight things as you're watching the videos. The other thing you want to do while you're watching these videos is, let's go back to the identifications. I highly suggest while you're watching the lectures to have this list of identifications near you with space in between them, 5 or 6 lines. And then as I'm discussing material and I happen to mention something about Andrew Johnson or the 14th Amendment, write that down. It'll be helpful. The identifications are the other part of the exam. And again, the identifications, what's expected identifications is all listed here, so read through that. Let me highlight something real quick for you. Each identification should be anywhere from 5 to 6 sentences. You'll still get credit if it's lower than 5 to 6 sentences, but that's going to be, they're out of 10 points. And so if you're writing a identification and it's pretty vague, it doesn't have any specific dates, it doesn't indicate the relevant individuals associated with your identification, then you're going to get maybe a 7 or something like that, or maybe even a 6, depending on how vague it is. But if it's more specific and it's more than 2 or 3 sentences, you're moving more towards 5 to 6 sentences, that's when you're going to work towards getting an 8 to 9 and closer to a 10 on those. But be sure to really use this as an opportunity to say, hey, I took notes on the material. And make sure it's coming from the material of the course. It's very easy to tell if you're getting the material from Wikipedia or some guy's blog on history. I know what's in the material, and that's the material you should be addressing. So if you're getting it from the assigned reading and from the lectures, it's easy to tell that's where you're getting the information from. So do use the material that you're assigned, and you'll notice that your grade will reflect that. The other advice I would like to give you regarding the exams is the required material I indicated you to get, index cards. So take your notes using the learning objectives, right? So that's basically the basis of your notes there. And then when you're done taking notes on all 5 learning objectives for this essay, this is where these come in handy. These are smart pills. On one side, write the learning objective. On the other side, write a few brief bullet points, just kind of not too detailed, but just indicating a brief response to the learning objective, right? It's not the complete response to the learning objective, it's just brief. And so, done doing that, you will have 5 of these, all right? And that would be for reconstruction. Get yourself a paper clip. There you go. Now, put that aside. Now it's time to work on the West, the next lecture, right? There it is. It works the same way, right? Here's the essay prompt. To respond to that essay prompt, you have a series of learning objectives to go through to respond to that, right? What I suggest doing with these 2 is hand write the learning objectives down in your notebook that you're using for this class. If you do that, you'll be a little bit more cognitive, aware of what it is you should be responding to. Right? Instead of just kind of seeing a few words here and then pushing play, it helps if you actually write it down. That'll kind of jar your mind to know what you need to be responding to specifically. When you're done with when you're taking all these notes, get your index cards out, write the learning objective on one side, and then write your brief bullet points on the other. You got learning objective 1 all the way down to learning objective 6. There's 6 learning objectives for this one. All right? And then you put your paper clip on here, and you put that aside. And so on and so forth for the rest of the lecture. So for social Darwinism and for the labor movement. Please do this. And then when you are finding yourself at a doctor's office waiting for your appointment, instead of checking Facebook incessantly, you could pull these out and drill yourself, right? Or whatever you're waiting for. It doesn't have to be at the doctor's. It could be just waiting for dinner to cook. Take these out, and this will just keep this information a lot more familiar to you. And it will also help you review it a little bit more. So the first step is always taking notes on a piece of notebook paper. That's always the first step. That helps you stay engaged in the material and whatnot. But the problem with that is that when you go to review it, it all kind of blends in together, and it just seems like it's hard to make sense of. If you do this, a lot of students don't take me up on this, and the ones that do are the ones that ace my course. If you do this, then you have nice little pieces of mediums that are very easy to kind of go, oh yeah, that's what that was about. And it will also help you, like the night before an exam when you're ready to take it. It will also help you indicate which of the learning objectives you have to go back to. So let's just open up social Darwinism while we're here. And let's say you're going through your note cards and tomorrow night you plan on taking the exam. And so, okay, learning objective 1, define social Darwinism and discuss the reason for the acceptance of the philosophy of social Darwinism. And then you turn it over. Before you turn it over, you're like, okay, I know what this is. It was based on the landed frontier, laissez-faire, the Protestant work ethic. It was this idea that the rich deserved everything they had, and the poor deserved everything they had, this kind of idea, right? You flip it over, and that's exactly what you have kind of briefly bullet pointed here. Yes, I got that one. Learning objective 2, okay, compare Herbert Spencer and William Graham Sumner, okay. And before you flip it over, you're pretty able to respond to that one too. You flip it, and you go, yes, I got that one. Learning objective 3, discuss how the federal government empowered corporations with the 14th Amendment. I don't remember that one. All right, let me put this one aside. All right, learning objective 4, discuss John D. Rockefeller. Before you flip it over, you have a pretty good idea how to respond to that. Yes. All right. Learning objective 5, discussing this thing about Ayn Rand and how she expressed social Darwinism. Before you flip it over, you're able to go, yes, I understand that. Now, this is good information to know for you. So what this says to you is, I know most of this essay, and the only thing I really have to do to review this tonight is to go back to learning objective 3. Right? Very helpful information to know. Also, your final exam is closed note, right? You have to take it proctored at STC, somewhere either at Pecan, Mid-Valley, or Star Campus. And again, if you are from out of the area, you need to email me. I'll give you instructions on how to do that. So by the time you're done with all the units, from units 1 through 4 for this semester, that's a lot of information to try to keep in your head. This will help you do it. So those that are going to ignore this advice, I guarantee you're going to be sorry at the end of the semester. You're going to go, darn, I wish I listened to that guy. He told me to do this, right? Those that did are going to be like, man, this class was so easy. I wish it was harder. Is there any more work you can give me, Mr. Kennedy? You can ask me that if you like. But I won't give you any more work. Okay, that's how you do the exams. The exams have to be done in Lockdown Browser. So if you got through the if you get through the orientation exam using Lockdown Browser, then it's not an issue. But again, if you're having problems with Lockdown Browser, you want to call 872-2598. That's the phone number to Distance Education. Let's see, anything else regarding the exams and the IDs and whatnot? Nope, I think that's it. Okay. Do email me if you have any questions. I'll talk to you later. Bye. And one more thing. The exams. Regarding the exams, what you're going to do with these exams is you're going to respond to these lecture essays. So you do not submit these lecture essays to me, ever. You want to prepare for them before you take the exams. You want to have them written all out. That's the best way to prepare them ultimately after you've taken your notes, you did your flashcard, then you want to practice writing the lecture essays then you have them, and then when the exam comes, just like the orientation exam is going to be there's going to be a window with the essay prompt above it, and you're going to type in your response to the lecture essay based on the essay prompt. And that essay prompt, it must include all of the responses to the learning objective, since the learning objective is the introduction, the body, and the conclusion of the essay. Right? It's just the way it's broken down into segments. So if you understand that, then you're fine. So again, you're not submitting these lecture essays to me. They will be randomly selected, and you can see how it's structured in the syllabus. So exam 1 is going to ask you to respond to 2 essays. Exam 3 is going to ask, or exam 2 is going to ask you to respond to 3 essays, so on and so forth. So check that in the syllabus, because that'll be one of the questions. How is each exam structured, and how do you get credit for these lecture essays? Also note that Unit 2, when you take the Unit 2 exam, it will ask you to respond to an essay, a lecture essay from Unit 1, as well as the essays from Unit 2. So since that's the case, let's say you didn't do as well on the Unit 1 exam as you wanted to do. Let's say you end up getting a 60%. You go back and you study really hard, and you figure out, okay, now I know how to respond to the lecture essays for Unit 1. And then you apply that same understanding to the lecture essays for Unit 2 as well. And you end up earning, for the Unit 2 exam, a 95%. What I will do is I will apply that 95% to the Unit 1 exam minus 10%. So Unit 1 will go from a 60% to an 85%. And that goes for the case if you happen to miss the deadline. Let's say something happened. You had every intention of taking the Unit 1 exam, but the electricity went out that night. That happens, right? So what will happen is the Unit 2 exam will count for your Unit 1 exam minus 10%, right? And don't worry about the minus 10%. As long as you're doing fine in the class, it amounts to really nothing at the end of the semester. Same goes with the rest of the units, right? So by the time you get to Unit 4, it's also going to ask you to respond to lecture essays that are randomly selected. You don't know which ones they're going to be. It's all random. It will randomly select from essays from either Units 1, 2, and 3, and from the essays from Unit 4, as indicated in the syllabus. It'll tell you exactly which ones are going to be selected. Okay, that's all I've got. I promise. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.